Hello walkers and good morning. My name is Henry. I will be your proxy walker today, your virtual travel guide here in Victor, Idaho. We're just taking a little jaunt up this way, which is south. It's 7:30 in the morning, 60 degrees, 59 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees Celsius. This is the Wildlife Brewing Brewery. This is kind of the end of town here. I'm going to get away from this, or try to get away from this traffic. It is so loud. Look at these beautiful Teton Mountains. And to the south are the Big Hole Mountains, which I was mistakenly calling the Big Horn Mountains on my walk through Drigg. So my apologies there. I'll try to go back and correct that in the text. This is the Cobblestone Inn here on the left, where we're staying. It's a fine, decent hotel. Let me give you a little. Hold on, 1, 2, 3. Hi everybody, and this is me, Henry Harrison, your proxy walker and virtual travel guide. Thanks for joining us, and back to the walk. Oh, great. I'm figuring out this camera. My goodness. Which is the Osmo Pocket 2, which I just got to replace the other cameras I broke recently. And I'm liking it a lot, actually. Hope you are too. I want to walk past this restaurant up here called Butter, and just because it's really idyllic outdoor seating, and also it's good food, and it's really pretty. So I like showing you guys pretty things, like how they have these old jackleg fences here in town still. Lovely, pretty nice empty lot. I guess this is full of weeds, but at this time of day, it looks great. Butter has pretty fancy breakfast and lunch foods, and it's pretty good. You can see it's right here with these Aspen and the lights streaming in. Other than being right next to Highway 33, it's a great little place. Across the way, maybe we'll walk by there later, but that's Knotty Pine Supper Club. Supper clubs being, I guess, kind of a thing out here, out west. It's just a restaurant, really. I think probably back in the day, in the ranching times, old western times, supper clubs were probably something a little different. I love the street light. It is sort of engulfed in aspen trees. Really pretty at night. Okay, so Victor is the largest town in Teton County. It's a bedroom community to Jackson, so it doesn't really seem as big as Driggs, because Driggs, being the county seat, has a lot more downtown, also being the sort of the gateway to Targhee Resort. It's got a lot more buildings and a big shopping center and that sort of thing. I guess this is maybe forsythia. I don't know what flower this is. It almost looks like roses, but it's not. Maybe it is. Maybe it is roses. Look at these pretty, pretty flowers. And then some lilacs. Victor was founded in 1889 it was sort of a collection of settlements that came together, I guess, is the way to say that, to form Victor. As I said earlier, it's right here, sort of at the nexus of the Big Hole Mountains and the Teton Mountains. And this is going to be a shorter walk today, just because Victor isn't very big. Now this looks like outdoor seating, but it's really a furniture store, but I kind of like some of the stuff in here. mentioned we're on Highway 33. We're gonna make a left here on, well, East Center Street, or rather State Highway 31, which is part of the Teton Scenic Byway. To our left here, I'll show you the sign, is the Victor Valley Market and Deli. Looks like they've got hot coffee in there too. Always a good sign. So I'm going to show you the sort of into the sun look. It's hard to see. That way are the Tetons after some foothills. And then coffee shop. But I like this wide boulevard. They've got a lot of this back-end parking, if you can see on the left here. You know, I don't usually see that, but you pull over. I'm not sure it's the best use of road space, but it does probably reduce accidents, people trying to back out. Okay, off to the left here. Sorry, we're at kind of 6,200 feet here, so the altitude, talking and walking makes it a little bit of a challenge. Morning. Big hole barbecue over here on our left. A nice deck, outdoor deck. And then across the way, I'll show you that in a little bit actually. We had dinner across the way last night, it was good. World Cast Anglers. Here's the outdoor seating as well. I find that shade in these western states is pretty important when you're eating outside. I'll talk about World Cast here in a second. The sun can really beat down on you. It can be really oppressive, especially middle of the day. So having these big mature trees, shade in the afternoon is really nice. Being in the shade can drop the perceived temperature dramatically. So World Cast Anglers, fly fishing is a big deal out here. Not sure where these guys are going. Maybe they're going to go over the pass to the Snake River, and maybe they'll go fish the Teton River here, or maybe they'll go, snake, salmon. There's a snake and a salmon. Can't remember which is which, but they can go north here about an hour and fish, I think it's the salmon. I'm probably getting those transposed. You can see these fishing boats. Eclectic Craft is a big brand for fishing boats, row fishing boats. And you fit someone behind some oars and then somebody in front. And this has 2 seats up front. Usually there's one, and then a seat in the back. And those front and back are the anglers. Almost exclusively fly fishing. All right. Now I saw this the other day, mountain drift boat. And I don't know if they are a drift boat manufacturer, drift boat seller, or what. So, anywho, I'm gonna go back to Main Street here, and just because I want to show you guys Main Street, and then I'll duck back into one of these neighborhoods. It also gives you a slightly better view of the mountains. You can see there's some foothills, and then you get into the real big guys that still have snow, even though it's been in the 80s here up high. Been much cooler. One of the things, I mentioned this in the Driggs video, but one of the things I love about this area, these towns, is all the outdoor seating. They have these sort of open lots, despite the price of real estate recently. And you can sit outside like this place. It's called West Side Yard. They've got indoor seating, of course, but then they've got these sort of lights outside, an old bus. They've got some outdoor games, outdoor tables and chairs. They've got a fire pit. It's really pretty nice. I guess they have live music and that sort of thing. you have any questions or comments or corrections, hit me up in the comments in the YouTube comments. I do love hearing from you. I do love responding to you. I've been doing some live streams recently. Those have been a lot of fun. I love interacting. Even though the last week we've been on the road a lot and I haven't been able to comment as much as I'd like. I like watching other people's walking channels too. I like to call them out every once in a while, just give them a shout out. I think the last one I did was Photo Luke Hawaii. So loud. Another one I like is Zen Walks. It's a good one. And another one I like is Scandinavian Nature Diaries. And there's a lot more, and I'll call them out, hopefully, if I remember going forward in other videos. But try not to get run over by the under-caffeinated people at the coffee drive-through. I don't think they have that in other countries. These sort of drive-through kiosks where you get coffee. It's a big thing out here in the West. I don't know if it's a big thing, but it's very common. The Brakeman American Grill serves all these sort of burgers, and if you go to their website, they have these giant 8-inch high, 9-10-inch high stacked burgers. They look almost impossible to eat, but also delicious. The Emporium is souvenirs, but also ice cream and soda fountains. And they serve huckleberry shakes among other flavors. We stopped here the other day for some. Oh, it's a fly shop too. I forgot about that. You can buy some fishing flies in there. You see some of the stuff. They are, unlike most places in town right now, they are requiring masks. I don't know if you can see in there. It's kind of a nice little shop. They're not requiring, they do ask you to wear a mask, which is their right as property owners, of course. I wore my mask when I went in because I like to respect that sort of thing. You know, that's what they want. All right, this is a pretty cool, relatively new looking, what do you call this, mural. It's got bears and fish and angler and wolves and bikers and horseback riders and huckleberry shakes and moose ski patrol. Pretty cool. This is Depot Way, and I have to assume that this back here is the depot they're referring to. But off to our left behind the Emporium is this kind of neat old building that looks like an old kitchen outbuilding. Oh, sorry, about to get run over because I'm walking down the street. I forget people also want to drive on these sometimes. I'm not sure what they're doing with the Victor Depot right now. I do see some folks living in a trailer. Looks like they're living there full time. Part of that, I have to assume, is the housing prices. Sorry, the housing prices here that I mentioned before. Just not enough houses, and new housing is ridiculously expensive. Although it looks like the depot might have been converted to housing. Tenant parking only, so that's interesting. An old railroad depot. There's an old railroad. Look at these poppies too. Oh, and roses. Love these flowers. Amazing. We're gonna walk back to the noisy Highway 33. I was just gonna say something that was of mild interest. Anyway, lost it. It is so nice out. Not a lot of people walking because this area is getting super hammered by tourism. I think I don't want that sounds negative. Obviously, this place is the economy of this place is built in large part on tourism, and they want tourists, but they're just the increase has been so rapid that they're having a hard time dealing with it, having a hard time finding employees for service, for part-time temporary service jobs in a place where housing is so expensive. But they are not out yet, the tourists. I, being one of them, am out for your leisurely walk today. Welcome to Victor City Park across the way. I think a lot of these people are probably headed over to Jackson for work. This is Victor Drug and Victor Clinic. One very nicely going to let me cross, but I waved them forward. Across the way is an arrow marker for Teton Mountain Elk Ranch. I know in Europe what they call an elk is what we would call a moose here. And our elk are closer to red deer or roe deer. They're a much bigger form of cervid. Pretty impressive, massive animals. Anyway, they've got a ranch where they're raising them for meat and probably antlers and other products. Oh, I know what I was going to talk about earlier. The depot brought to mind the Ashton-Teutonia State Park and bicycle route. We did a little section of it the other day. Went over this massive trestle bridge, old railroad trestle bridge. Beautiful views of the mountains and of the underlying creek and valley. Very cool thing, and it goes for miles and miles and miles. So if you're into biking, that's a good option here. It's not through the mountains. It's really fairly flat and gravel, and it kind of stretches from Teutonia to Ashton, hence the name. And I think that's like 45 miles or so. Not sure. So doable in a day. Or there's a lot of sections, a lot of places where you can park and where it crosses roads and you have access. So if you don't want to do the whole section, you can just do a bit. And there are, I think, 3 trestle bridges. So Fitzgerald Bicycles, and looks like a Thai restaurant, Chiang Mai, over in that little shopping area. Now I haven't been back in the residential areas, so I'm tempted to go both ways. tempted by both ways. That looks like it might be a little bit of an older section, but I think this is going to be easier. I think I'm going to loop around here, and then we'll cross over and maybe explore that other side. They also have this bike path and sidewalk we're on becomes a bike path, and it stretches all the way to Driggs and beyond. Out here they have a system of road naming. So this is West 8,000 South by like South 500 West. Love all this trees and bushes and stuff. Very cool. It's more of a main road, so I'm not going to walk down the middle of that one. Just like some modern townhouses over here to the right. Oh, maybe I am going to walk down the middle of the road since this is where the sidewalk ends. They've got all of 200 feet of sidewalk on that side. I'll walk along the side of the road until we can cross back down. Ooh. I think I'm actually gonna Blue Rock condos. I'm actually gonna tuck back here because I want to show you guys this farmland back here and what the edge of town looks like. Looks like some folks are gonna paint maybe or do something. So you can see this hayfield back here. And there's a lot more of that as you, to the left there, to the west are the end or the extension of the Big Hole Mountains. And then to the north, you've got, I don't know, 60 miles before you hit more mountains. You got a little dog there in the corner. And these are hay fields where they're irrigating. Crow cawing. But we're going to go back out to that main drag and keep on walking through to the neighborhood. I've gotten a comment recently about I talk too much, which I kind of sympathize with. But I get a lot of comments, much more comments people saying they like the talking. So I'm going to stick with it for now. If you don't care for it, I totally get that. But turn off the volume or don't watch, I guess. Hate to lose viewers, but I also, do this for fun. Although recently, I've gotten 3 Patreon subscribers. I'm so flattered, so honored by that. And several people have been giving, I guess, super stickers or super chat tips when I've done the live stream, which I find surprising and again flattering, and very honored to receive those votes of confidence and support, especially since I needed to buy this new camera. That helped a lot. Of course, not even remotely required, but definitely appreciated. Look at these roses up here in the sun. I think they're wild roses. Look at the light too. I know it looks like there's a bunch of milkweed coming up over there, but I love the grasses and the sagebrush in this low sunlight here this morning. If you're just tuning in, then it is probably close to 8 o'clock in the morning, mountain time, mountain daylight time. Nice view of the bighorns. Big hole, sorry. I keep wanting to call them bighorns. And still some snow up there too, that's interesting. You can see that most of these places, the older places, are all kind of eclectic in design and builds, and the newer things are more uniform. And then of course there are some, as you get outside of town, further away, there are several subdivisions and places that have nicer homes, bigger lots, that sort of thing. Well, not bigger than here, but pretty nice places. People are streaming in from around the country. Just love the sage. And when you break that sagebrush, you tear a couple of leaves off. Oh, the scent of it is just, it's lovely. It's a little bit like sage you would have in your cooking cabinet. Obviously same family, but it also smells oily and pungent and sagey. It's wonderful, and after a rain you can smell it too. It's nice. Just a great time of day. I know I often get comments about people saying, "Where's everybody? How come it's so empty?" But I do really enjoy getting out before other people are out and exploring a place and seeing a city wake up, come to life. You can see the depot again, the backside of that building. There's a parking lot over there. I assume that's for the residents. Anyway, we're gonna head down this road, and there's no street sign, so I don't really know what road it is. These walks, usually say this at the beginning, these walks tend to be explorations because I'm figuring things out too. And I'm taking you along with me on the ride. That's part of the fun for me, is just seeing new ground and exploring these places and letting them, I don't know, the new stuff on my brain is nice. I don't know if I could express that less elegantly, but that's a pretty good job. These are kind of cool little houses, huh? Small but modern. It's off to the right, looks like an old garage or maybe hardware store. Looks like the facade was on the other side. neat back deck with the willow screen there. I like that design. One of the things I do is, as we travel and I see little elements of design, I like to take pictures of it and save it to a little folder for future inspiration. Although this is an old hardware store and gallery, looks like. Ooh, Double Hull Customs. I wonder if that's a garage or a double hull is a type of cast for fly fishing. Anyway, I haven't actually implemented any of those designs yet, but we're in the process of buying a house, so perhaps I will do that in the coming year. We're going to cross over and see the other side of the neighborhoods. There's some other buildings over there I can see through the trees I'm a little curious about. So we'll go take a look. Among the great things, of these towns is they have these crosswalks, and they're not necessarily lights, but you can see the light's blinking. The button I pushed sets off this little warning light. I'm trying to hustle so I don't hold people up. Right there, see it flashing? Lets people know you're crossing. Oh, hello. And people stop and you can get across the highway, otherwise it would be almost impossible. But they also don't have to put up a stoplight to stop traffic. A nice little invention. This is a really pleasant park over here. Not a little bit because of the shade. And a nice, this is the city park, this great stage. That's awesome. Music on Main. I bet it would be, here's the rest of the park. I bet it would be fantastic to be out here because the sun's going to go down behind these poplar trees or whatever those are, which would cast shade in here. You can bring your blanket and a picnic, maybe a bottle of wine, and enjoy the music and the convivial atmosphere. Then you've got a baseball field, soccer field over here. Possibly also a lacrosse field. Got some young cousins that play lacrosse. They're over in Jackson though. I don't know if you can tell, we're coming up on the street here, but there's only like another block, maybe two of houses, and then it's mountains or foothills back in there. I don't know if that's public land, like national forest, or if it is privately owned. My guess is it's public, otherwise there'd be houses on it. Still, looks like there's some hiking trails maybe I can make out. That's a nice house over there. A big side yard or playground. Can't really tell. This is Agate. It's the road name, the street name. And looks like it only goes down a block or two. And we're gonna go What's direction? This is south. We're gonna go south here. I started out at Wildlife Brewery. There's also Teton Brewery outside of town. There's a couple breweries in Driggs. A lot of options to drink local. There's also a vodka distillery south of town, north of Driggs. Get it together, Henry. And yeah, so that's a lot of boozy options, keeping it local. Looks like there's some on one block down. You can see through the bushes and trees. Some multiplex housing, I'm guessing. Fairly uniform and modern. But between us and them are a barn, converted barn, and then a real barn behind that. A lot of open space. Dead trees, I'm not sure what killed those. Apathy, maybe. And then I don't know if this is a Mormon house of worship or Presbyterian or Catholic, but we're gonna find out as we go by. The steeple to me implies Mormon, but that's not always the case. Look at this really cool little house. I love that. My guess, I'll look at the lilacs in front too and the white picket fence. My guess is that is someone who is a professional builder or carpenter and just kind of threw it up themselves. It looks awesome. Great job. Kudos, etc. I might be totally wrong about the nature of this church. I'm not seeing a sign. It's unusual. Oh, yep, Church of Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saints. So this is a Mormon church. And I think of that type of steeple as being typical of those churches, although I've certainly seen them on others. So, ooh, we got some more open space, some more views of the mountains coming up. Those look good. Now, I just want to address the fact that this is a small town in the West. It's not as exciting as walking around Paris or Moscow or New York or LA, but it's got a lot of charm, and I find them fascinating and relaxing to walk around, and I hope you do too. And just seeing the eclectic nature of these places. For instance, there's a trailer house next to, I guess that's just a garage and an old wood house. And then across the way, you've got this amazing log barn with the mountains in the background. tiny little old farmhouse in front of that. Back in the distance, looks like a school maybe. That's what I'm gonna guess. Look at those views. Delightful. And then, you know, in Livingston, the lot size, these lot sizes, they don't have them. Everything's really narrow, really small relative to this. They're perfectly fine and nice, but they're just not nearly this big. These things are almost an acre, which is, I really can't do the hectare conversion there. Just got a poppy field coming up. Can you hear those birds? I think those are warblers. Robins. Love it. Look at this view, guys. I mean, can you beat that? You don't get that in New York or LA, right? Or this field of poppies just hanging out. I imagine these were planted at some point, but they're certainly not being cultivated or being controlled in any way. Very cool. Cute little blue house there. It's been around a while. Coming up on Dogwood. Street, avenue, place, something like that. Yeah, that is a school down there, that modern building in the distance. And we're gonna head down Dogwood, back towards the Big Hole Mountains. It's a neat little old wooden building surrounded and encapsulated with bushes and trees. That's pretty nice. Kind of like that. Some irises out front, some potentilla. It's a little surprising, knowing the situation with housing here, to see all this empty space, all these empty lots. I didn't mention the population, but in 1990 it was 300, or just under. Now, 30 years later, it is estimated to be 2,500. So it's grown a lot, and grew, I think, 30% just last year. That's pretty significant growth. I might have that time frame wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Neat old barn conversion. Teepee in the background. Huh. Some construction banging around there in the background. And I'm going to take you up to show you this horse-drawn wagon that is sort of an advertisement up here, but still pretty cool. It's hard to imagine these being efficient. They're so small, relatively small, compared to even a modern day panel truck or even a modern day pickup truck. I mean, it's not that small, I guess, but still, that looks pretty heavy. Look at the axles and the wheels and the boards on the sides. That's a big bulky thing for horses to pull around. Maybe they pulled 2, maybe they used 4 or more. I want to thank you guys for joining us here outside of State Collectibles in Victor, Idaho. I'm going to shout over the traffic here. I hope you've enjoyed this. We're going to be having more walks, probably not from Idaho just yet, maybe Great Falls, maybe some state parks up there, some nature walks, definitely some nature walks from Montana, and some live streams as well. So keep an eye out for those. Come back, see us again. Tell your friends, get them on the walking bandwagon. We'll see you again soon. Until then, keep on stepping.